Nobody saw this coming. Not after the Super Bowl headlines, not after the Stefon Diggs breakup rumors, not after the unfollows, the shade, the internet chaos. But just days after Cardi B's relationship reportedly ended, something happened that had fans flooding timelines with one message: pray for Cardi. And this wasn't just gossip. This wasn't just blog drama. This felt different. The breakup alone was already messy. Reports claimed Stefon Diggs pulled up to Super Bowl weekend with other women. Cardi allegedly left early. Social media detectives connected dots. The internet crowned it karma. And Offset? He was watching quietly. But what happened next shifted the tone completely. Suddenly, Cardi wasn't just trending for relationship drama. She was trending because people were genuinely concerned. Cryptic posts, emotional livestream energy, AK jumping into the conversation, and fans reading between every single line. Was she blindsided? Was there more going on behind the scenes? Did someone cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed? Because here's the part nobody wants to admit. Cardi has been loud in every breakup before. But this time, the energy felt heavier, quieter, personal. And when Akademiks responded, it only made the situation more intense. Not clearer, just louder. So now the question isn't just about Stefon Diggs. It's about what really happened in those days after. And why so many people suddenly feel like this story is bigger than a breakup. Because if what insiders are hinting at is true, this isn't just drama. This is damage. Super Bowl weekend was supposed to be a flex. Cardi B on one of the biggest stages in the world. So Stefon Diggs playing under the brightest lights in football. Power couple energy. Cameras everywhere. Instead, it turned into the beginning of the end. The Patriots lost. The vibe shifted. And Cardi left early. At first, people brushed it off. Maybe she was tired. Maybe she had after-party obligations. Maybe she just didn't want to sit through the loss. But then the blogs started moving. Whispers began spreading that Stefon Diggs allegedly had other women in the VIP section during Super Bowl weekend. Not random fans. Not distant acquaintances. Women that weren't supposed to be there. Screenshots circulated. Names started trending. And suddenly the narrative went from celebrity couple glow-up to another public humiliation. Cardi and Diggs unfollowed each other almost immediately after the game. In 2026, that's not subtle. That's digital confirmation. Then came the alleged after-party situation. Reports claimed Cardi had spent a significant amount organizing something exclusive, and neither of them even showed up together. That's not just awkward, that's symbolic. Because public appearances are currency in celebrity relationships. And when the joint appearance disappears, people know. Now here's where things get deeper. This wasn't Cardi's first very public relationship crash, which means fans weren't just reacting to Diggs, they were reacting to a pattern. Cardi leaving Offset over cheating headlines. Cardi defending Offset publicly. Cardi going live when she feels disrespected. So when Diggs' rumors surfaced, people braced for impact, but this time something felt off. Instead of explosive rage, there was a quieter, heavier tone. No immediate screaming live, no full breakdown rant, no instant internet war, just tension. And then Akademiks stepped in, which made everything louder. Because when AK starts responding, it usually means the situation isn't small. Here's where the tone changed. Breakups are normal in celebrity culture. Cheating rumors? Unfortunately normal. Unfollows? Standard procedure. Subtweets? Expected. But what happened in the days after the Stefon Diggs split is what made fans uneasy. Because Cardi didn't react the way she usually does. No explosive 20-minute rant, no immediate call-outs, no chaotic back and forth. Instead, there were subtle signs. Short emotional energy on live streams. Moments where her tone felt drained. Posts that felt heavier than shade. More like hurt. And fans noticed immediately. The comment sections shifted from gossip to concern. Is she okay? Why does she look like that? Pray for Cardi. When that phrase starts trending, it's not about tea anymore. It's about worry. Now add Akademiks to the picture. Akay didn't just report on the breakup, he reacted. And when he reacts, he usually implies there's more behind the scenes than what's public. He hinted at emotional damage. He framed it like Cardi might have been more invested than people realized. He suggested the situation hit harder than it looked online. That's when the narrative shifted from Cardi got cheated on to something deeper. Was she blindsided? Was this another situation where she publicly aligned with someone who privately wasn't solid? And here's the uncomfortable layer. Cardi had just come out of years of turbulence with Offset, public cheating scandals, reconciliation, divorce filings, emotional exhaustion. Stefon Diggs was supposed to represent something calmer, an upgrade, a fresh start, a different energy. So if that situation collapsed quickly, especially during a moment as visible as Super Bowl weekend, the emotional weight would hit differently. Not just embarrassment, disappointment. And fans could feel it. Because Cardi isn't just loud when she's mad, she's vulnerable when she's hurt. And this time, it felt like hurt. But here's where it gets even more layered. Some online voices began suggesting the timing wasn't random. That Offset's earlier podcast shade, that Super Bowl optics, that Diggs controversy, all intersected too neatly. No confirmed conspiracy, no proven coordination. But the pattern made people uncomfortable. Because every time Cardi tries to reset publicly, the drama circles back. Which raises a bigger question. Is this just unfortunate timing? Or is Cardi caught in a cycle she hasn't fully escaped yet? Now let's talk about the part nobody wants to say out loud. Because whether you like him or not, whether you think he's bitter or misunderstood, Offset's presence never really left the story, even when Cardi moved on, even when she looked happy, even when she was publicly sitting courtside with Stefon Diggs. He was still there. Not physically, but narratively. Let's rewind the timeline carefully. Offset throws slick shade on a podcast. Super Bowl weekend explodes. Diggs gets linked to another woman in VIP. Cardi leaves early. Unfollows happen. Akademiks responds. The sequence feels almost cinematic. And that's why people started asking, was this just coincidence? Or did someone know exactly when to apply pressure? Now, no proof of coordination, no confirmed interference. But here's what fuels the speculation. Offset understands media cycles. He knows how blogs move, he knows when to drop comments, he knows when to stay silent, and sometimes silence is louder than tweets. After the breakup chaos, he didn't post, he didn't rant, he didn't defend himself. He watched. That made people uneasy. Because when someone who usually reacts suddenly goes quiet, it feels calculated. And then there's Akademiks. Akay doesn't randomly choose which celebrity dramas to emphasize. When he leaned into this situation, it signaled something bigger. He framed it like Cardi might have been emotionally hit harder than expected, not embarrassed. Not just mad, hurt. And that changes everything. Because if Cardi truly believed this was her calm era, if she thought Diggs represented stability, then Super Bowl weekend wasn't just bad timing, it was a public collapse of the reset. And resets matter more when you've survived chaos. Now here's the deeper psychological layer people are whispering about. Cardi has spent years defending Offset, fighting blogs, clapping back at cheating rumors, choosing to stay. That kind of history wires you differently. When you finally walk away, you don't just want new love. You want proof that you weren't crazy for leaving. So if the new situation mirrors old patterns, that hits the ego, that hits the heart, and that hits the identity, which explains why fans weren't laughing. They were saying pray for Cardi, because this didn't feel like gossip. It felt like emotional whiplash. And here's the part that makes the whole thing even more intense. The divorce with Offset isn't fully finalized. Co-parenting still exists. Legal ties still exist. History still exists. You can leave a relationship emotionally, but when paperwork and children bind you together, shadows linger. So whether Offset actively did anything or not, his shadow was present. And in celebrity culture, shadows are powerful. But this story isn't just about men. It's about Cardi. Because what she did next might define her next era. Now here's where the narrative shifts. Because instead of going live screaming, instead of subtweeting, instead of dragging Stefon Diggs publicly, Cardi did something else. She went shopping. And not regular shopping. She bought herself a $500,000 Audemars Piguet watch, or $500,000, on her own wrist. No caption begging, no heartbreak essays, no men ain't nothing speeches, just a luxury timepiece and a quiet message. If nobody treats me like a prize, I will. That move hit harder than any rant, because it wasn't emotional. It was controlled. And when a woman who's known for explosive reactions chooses composure instead, that's growth or that's pain buried deep. The internet split instantly. One side said, she's healing. She's in her boss era. She's not crashing out anymore. The other side said, retail therapy. She's masking. This hurts more than she's showing. But here's what makes this moment powerful. For years, Cardi's relationship drama has been loud, rolling loud apology signs, Instagram live, screaming matches, public cheating allegations, deleted posts. Late-night confessions. This time, no chaos, just precision. And that scares people more, because controlled Cardi is unpredictable Cardi. Now let's talk psychology for a second. When someone repeatedly survives public humiliation in relationships, they eventually reach one of two places: breakdown, detachment. And detachment looks calm, too calm. Cardi didn't look broken. She looked distant, focused, like someone recalibrating. She started emphasizing three things publicly: her kids, her money, her music. Not Diggs, not Offset, not revenge. That shift is important. Because when someone stops fighting for the narrative and starts investing in themselves instead, that's a power pivot. But here's the real question fans are whispering. Is this truly a turning point? Or just the quiet before another emotional storm? Because remember, the divorce isn't finalized. Offset still exists in the picture legally. Co-parenting still ties them together. And Hollywood relationships rarely end cleanly. Meanwhile, Diggs has gone quiet too. No dramatic defense, no romantic apology posts, no public attempts to reclaim the narrative. Just silence, which leaves Cardi standing alone in this chapter. And sometimes standing alone is stronger than standing with the wrong person. Now here's the deeper layer nobody's ignoring. Cardi has always thrived off authenticity. When she's hurt, she shows it. When she's angry, she explodes. When she's happy, she glows. This controlled response, it feels strategic, and strategy means evolution. But evolution comes from pain, which brings us back to the title. Pray for Cardi. Not because she's weak, but because heartbreak after hope hits different, especially when millions are watching. Step back from the headlines for a second. Forget the blogs. Forget the shade. Forget the watches and the unfollows. Look at the pattern. This isn't just Cardi B versus Offset. This isn't just Stefon Diggs drama. This isn't just Akademiks reacting. This is what happens when love, ego, pride, and power collide in public. Offset's energy throughout all of this: pride. Podcast bravado. None that I left went up. Calm tone. Smirk energy. But pride gets loud when it feels replaced. Cardi's energy. Hurt turned into strength, blocking, going live, calling him lame, buying a $500,000 watch instead of crying online. That's not weakness. That's someone learning in real time. And Diggs, whether he cheated or not, whether the rumors were inflated or not, the timing alone destroyed the fairy tale narrative. Because perception matters more than proof in celebrity culture. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Cardi has never been afraid of love. She forgave publicly. She defended publicly. She risked publicly. And when you love loudly, you also bleed loudly. That's the cost. Offset? He's never been afraid of ego. And ego hates watching someone level up without it. So when he said that line on the podcast, maybe it wasn't about status. Maybe it was about control. Because the moment Cardi moved on publicly, the narrative shifted away from him. And some men don't lose women. They lose control. That's the difference. Now add Akademiks to the mix and commentary culture. Everything becomes content. Pain becomes clips. Breakups become engagement. Threats become trending topics. And in the middle of that, real people with real kids. That's the part fans forget. Cardi isn't just a headline. She's a mother navigating public humiliation in 4K resolution. Offset isn't just a villain. He's a father with pride issues playing out in public. Diggs isn't just a rebound. He's a man whose choices or optics triggered an avalanche. And the internet? The internet never forgives quietly. Here's the real twist. This story isn't finished. The divorce isn't finalized. Co-parenting still exists. Emotions don't disappear overnight. With Cardi and Offset, history proves one thing. Nothing is ever completely over. Reconciliation? Possible. Another public explosion? Also possible. A completely new chapter? Very possible. But one thing is certain. Cardi B does not break. She bends. She vents. She upgrades. And she keeps moving. So the real question isn't, did Offset win? The real question is, who actually grows from this? Because growth beats revenge every time. And right now, Cardi looks like she's choosing growth. But with these two, the next headline is always one post away. If you've been following this saga, you already know. This isn't just drama. It's a case study in modern relationships under pressure. Hit like if you want more deep breakdowns like this. Subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. And trust me, with Cardi B, there's always another twist.